Hey y'all, it's Zach, the legal tech advisor here at Lawyerist. Today I'd like to show you a little bit about Law Ruler, a client relationship management platform specifically for the legal field. Recently, I sat down with Matthew Dufresne from Law Ruler, and he walked me through a lot of the automation, the integrations, and specifically the reporting that Law Ruler can do for your office. Have a look and see what you think.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Dufresne. I am an account manager with Law Ruler. I'm here today to go over our solution with everyone and show you what makes Law Ruler different than anything else out there.
Matthew, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you being with me, and I'm looking forward to checking, digging a little bit deeper into Law Ruler. So, without any further ado, I guess let's just jump right in.
Absolutely. That sounds good. I'm happy to be here today with you. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen here. So first and foremost, I want to kind of go over a little bit about the company. Law Ruler, we've been around for a little bit. And what we were originally built for, we're built with your growth in mind. Law Ruler originally came out as a CRM when the legal space didn't really have CRMs about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we were a newer product and we were built around, how can we help law firms grow? They have practice management. We need a solution to capture the data and do the most we can with it. And because we noticed when we were originally created, we noticed that, a lot of attorneys have an opportunity with leads falling through the cracks.
Right.
Back then, leads from your website would just flow into an email inbox and then they would get lost in no man's land because you're too busy to go over everything. And that's even now more so. Marketing is so expensive that's just burning money, and that's not good. So we created this product as a way to prevent lawyers from burning that money and make the most out of every dollar they spend and put towards marketing.
Right. I remember a time when my intake stuff just went directly into an Excel spreadsheet, and which was okay 15 years ago.
And you'd be surprised. I meet with a lot of attorneys today that still have that practice.
Right.
And this is when you grow to a certain point, and that's okay if you're getting like 5-10 leads a month. When you start to grow and put more money into digital marketing, it just gets a little bit too much. So it's nice to have a program that communicates everything. So I want to touch on that word too, communicates, because that's the first part about what I want to discuss about our product. So Law Ruler, we communicate so well with all of your marketing sources out there, and that sets us apart from a lot of the competition. We have a very friendly, easy to use open API. And what that means for the lawyer out there that's not too tech savvy is that we could take whatever marketing company you're working with, whatever marketing sources, digitally or non-digital, that you're using, and integrate those into your CRM to automatically capture your marketing efforts and your leads. So if you have something out there where you're doing billboard ads and you're using a call tracking number, if you just hired a brand new marketing company, they're doing your website, your Google pay-per-click campaigns, and you're ramping up business, we can take all of those and automatically feed them into your CRM. So as soon as somebody fills out that information, they come directly into the system. They attach where they came from. So you'll see this new lead just came from my website. This new lead just came from my billboard. So this way, you don't have to ask the client, hey, where'd you hear about us? Because 90% of the time, they're just going to say, oh, I found you on Google. They really didn't find you on Google. That doesn't help anybody.
That's how they got your number, or that's how they got to your site, but it's not necessarily how they heard of you or got there. And so what you're saying is if you've got a application like CallRail, if it doesn't directly integrate with Law Ruler, we can make it integrate with Law Ruler.
Exactly. But with CallRail, we also have a lot of built-in integrations. CallRail, we're actually directly integrated with through a webhook.
Okay.
So CallRail one, and if you don't even have, let's say you're a newer firm, you don't even have a call tracking software, we have the ability to give you call tracking numbers directly from our system. And help you start tracking.
And just to kind of clarify that, what that means is you're going to put a separate number on your different marketing campaigns so you know where this person saw your phone number.
Correct. And that's so important in marketing because you want to know where your dollars are best spent.
Right.
And we give you the ability to record that data, run reports on it. So if you got 20 calls from Google, 50 calls from Avo, 30 calls from Martindale, you can see where all those calls are coming from. So you can take the one you're converting the most and put more money towards it.
Right, right.
So, and that's just on the front end of API. The other side of it is after it's done in the CRM process, you want a software that's going to have a simple and seamless integration into your case management software. Because once it's done and signing up, you want something that's going to take it through the entire workflow and go into your case management system. We communicate with a lot of case management systems. We have preferred vendors out there that we communicate directly with, such as Cosmolex, TimeSolve, and Rocket Matter. And there's a few others that we integrate with directly as well. So that's another important piece of this open API, and why it's so important to have that, because you can have a seamless workflow throughout the entire process. It's not just on the front end. So let's talk about once that lead comes in, what happens next? A lot of times right now, what's happening is if somebody doesn't have a CRM solution, they're going into a general email inbox.
Right.
Or they're going to a paralegal's email inbox or your intake person's, and then they're manually responding to it. They're reaching out. Today's day and age, Google is king. And if, let's say you're a PI firm, if I'm finding on a PI firm, I Google your name, I call you, I don't hear back from you within 30 seconds. We have a very short attention span these days. I'm going to call that next person on that list. And I'm going to go down that Google list until somebody answers me or I get engaged, because I'm going through a traumatic experience. If I'm reaching out to an attorney, something's going on in my life where I need help and I need it now. So Law Ruler, we have an in-depth automation capability. And what sets us apart, because a lot of people have simple automation, we have very robust automation capabilities. And what that means is we can use mail merge codes to make it seem like a robot's not texting them. We can make it look like you are the one texting them, so they feel like they're getting that world-class customer experience.
So just to kind of clarify on that mail merge codes, we're talking about using the same basic technology that you use for creating your documents, that a lot of people use for creating their documents out of their law practice management system, where you're going to go grab the underlying data in the CRM, person's name, maybe their phone number, or what they like to be called, whatever information you've gathered, and you're going to put it into the form fields, the merge fields inside of a text message, as opposed to a letter. Yeah,
exactly. And that text message piece for the automation is so important. A lot of other companies out there, they'll use third-party text messages. We have it built in. So we just have easy, simple communication to where you can target your clients. So they fill out a web form. We know they filled out that web form. So instead of just saying, "Hey, Zach, thank you for contacting Law Ruler. How can we help you?" We could say, "Hey, Zach, thank you so much for filling out our web form on our website. We're reviewing information. We'll reach out to you shortly from this number." And that last part is also so important, because these days, a lot of attorneys out there have a problem getting people to answer when they call if from a web form, because there's so much spam calls nowadays. Everybody's screening their calls and waiting for a voicemail. They don't want to answer this. They don't want the social anxiety going past. They're like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
100%.
So that first text message saying, "Hey, I'm going to call you from this number," says, oh, they're going to call me soon. So I'm not going to call the next person on Google. And B, they're going to call me from this number, so I know to answer this number.
Right.
So it increases your answer rates. Getting them prevents them from going to your competitors when you reach them quickly. So it increases your conversion rates right off the bat. Sending them that text message too, we give you your own texting number. You own that number. It's not a globally owned number. And if they call that number, it goes to your office. That's a big part of it too.
Right.
We could forward that number where it goes. It's not one of the numbers that says if you call it, this number cannot be completed as dialed. It's not just a texting number.
Right. Okay.
So once that's all said and done, they get a hold of you. You can move on to the next part of the process, and then you can dive into the intake side of things. So a lot of firms, I'm finding that during my demos, they're still using a paper intake sheet or an Excel spreadsheet,
right?
Or like some kind of web form, and that works if you have such low volume. But it's important to have an updated solution, because we have mobile friendly intakes, so you can actually send these intakes out to your clients if you'd like to. And we also have conditional logic available to which I'm going to get into when we go into our software. I'm going to show you an example of a social security disability intake sheet that we created, and it's available to our clients, and it has hours and hours of logic-based coding built into it, because you can build conditional logic into our software intake. So you could say, if you're a PI firm, were you in an accident? No. Or were you in an accident? Yes. Did you get treated? No. Are you hurt?
Right.
No. It could show out your intake staff to decline that case, and they can hit the decline case button, and logic can send them a rejection letter automatically.
Right. So a lot of times I refer to that as a guided interview. And so, yeah, we're working through a logic tree, a decision tree, and you can actually get many people that are kicking tires out of your system and never have to deal with them if you've got automation like that. But I want to clarify one thing here. What we're talking about in the intake form is beyond the contact form. This is somebody has contacted you and you send them this intake form in order to get more information, because we've already gone through one step of weeding people out that aren't going to be clients. And now we're in kind of a second step of weeding people out, but also gathering information that we're going to put into our CRM system.
That's absolutely correct. And a lot of people use this different ways for different case types. So like your employment law attorneys that need to meet with you before taking on your case, they will send the intake out to their clients to fill out before they meet with them to save time during the interview. But your PI firms, they don't really send out intakes. PI firms will call them and complete the intake internally, which you can do as well. You don't have to send these out. The other nice thing about this is, we're here to make you more money. That's our ultimate goal. Part of that is saving you time. Our intakes are designed to prevent double data entry from occurring in our system. Our goal is 0 double data entry. So whether they're filling out the intake themselves or you're doing it internally, it'll map to everything else in our system. So when you update their name, it'll update the name in the system. When you update a phone number, it'll map to the e-signs. This intake is all the information you're going to have to fill out. The other nice part about this is with our API, a lot of mass tort firms, for example, will be fed leads that are already signed and have their intake process completed. We integrate with anybody that's doing, if you have a call center doing your intakes for you, we can map their answers field to field to our intake. So it can populate directly into your intake. It's not just a PDF, it's an interactable form. So that's the intake part of it. Now, once you're done with the intake side, you've got that all filled out and you're saying, okay, this is a great case. I need to sign them right away. Most people right now are just emailing them a retainer and they're manually building it in either DocuSign or HelloSign or Adobe Sign.
Right.
So they're filling it out by hand, which takes about 10, 15 minutes. Then they're sending an email over. Email's nice. It's more convenient than mailing them a letter, but it's still hard because what happens is, because there's a link, it'll go to their spam. Because it's an email, the majority of people now have like 10,000 unread emails in their inbox, and they're just flooded. So, the likelihood of them finding that email, especially if they're elder or not tech savvy, is highly unlikely. So we have a textable e-sign. So you can actually, from that intake you just filled out, you can immediately go to the e-sign, and then you can shoot out a text message with that e-sign. So you can do one call closes. So you could say right when you're doing that intake, oh, hi, Zach, thank you for completing that intake. We'd love to help you out with your case. I just texted you an e-sign agreement. I'm going to walk you through that. Go ahead and click the get started button and let's go ahead and sign that together.
And that's a link that's sent to them through the text, not actual information sent through the text. So in a scenario where you're sending some information about somebody's case, this is still secure.
Correct.
Because we're not sending personal information over SMS. We're sending a link to this piece of to this document.
Correct. And it's going through HelloSign. It's a very secure platform. And when they click on it, it's very user friendly. It goes right through. Now, the other part of that, talking about a secure experience is when they sign it, where does it go? A lot of times people have this just go into their regular inbox. And there's a little bit of an issue with that when it comes to privacy concerns, because if your email gets compromised, it's it's hard to keep that. So our signs will go directly into the client's document folder.
Right.
You don't have to download it to your personal computer. You don't have to save it. You don't have to re-upload it. It stays in our secure platform. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's dive into the actual system. I want to show you a little bit more about what we look like and how our actual system operates. Zach, do you have your cell phone handy by chance?
I do. I usually turn it on to airplane mode for these, but I will flip it off airplane mode.
I'm just sorry about that.
No,
I'm going to
no
give
worries.
you a phone number to call. This way I can show people how a new lead gets created through a call tracking number in our system and what that whole process looks like.
Fantastic. I
Let me
am
know when you're ready.
ready when you are.
Perfect. All right. That number is going to be, let's do this one. It's going to be 615 551 5691.
All right.
All right. This is our new lead screen. So you can see right here, that's where all new inquiries come. So I can see here, you're right here. See how your call just popped up?
Yep.
So it's instantaneous. So you can go ahead and hang up the phone. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on your case. That's going to pop up, and you can see here, it automatically grabs your caller ID. So I've already got this. And so this is our main screen. This is the intake details screen. So right now, right off the bat, I can tell you called from a Google campaign.
Okay.
So you can attach the different call tracking numbers to know where your campaigns come in at. So here, I can also assign the type of case. Let's say that is only for Social Security disability cases. I can also have it automatically created as an SSD case. So today I'm going to be taking you through a demo of a Social Security case to show you the interactive intake that I mentioned before. So you should also, what I want to touch on before getting into the intake, you should be receiving a text message soon too, as an example of what we can send out automatically.
Yep.
And that's all controlled by this field here. The status is extremely important. Now, these statuses in our entire system you're seeing here, we're not a cookie cutter software. We are custom tailored experience for each law firm. And when you come on board with us, the most important thing I want to mention during this site is your account manager and your onboarding manager are going to work hard to make sure that our custom tailored solution fits what you're already doing and just puts it into an easy to track digital solution. So every law firm out there already has a workflow built in. We're going to take those workflows and build them into statuses and milestones.
They better have a workflow built in.
Hopefully they do.
Right.
You know what? And if you don't, because I've run into if they don't. If you don't, we have templates of really good examples for different case types that we can give you to kind of work off of.
Great.
Because a lot of times attorneys, if you're a solo practitioner, you don't have any employees. A lot of times you're like, oh man, this is overwhelming. There's a lot here. We give you templates to help guide you through it.
Okay. But otherwise, you're not telling people how to work their workflows. You're working into how they already are set up.
Exactly. Our account managers are working side by side with that firm to learn everything they can about them and then building them their custom portal, because cookie cutter softwares out there exist, but we find that the best solution and the best success people have is if they have that go-to person, that relationship with their account manager who knows our system and knows their workflow, and then just mesh that two into a good symbiotic relationship to make sure that you guys get the most out of our system. So, you can see right here, the status new lead is what it does when it's automatically created. You can have different statuses that trigger different drip campaigns.
Gotcha.
So you can do different marketing campaigns. For example, when I talk to PI firms, their biggest pain point is following up when somebody is treating, because treating can last a year or more.
Right.
And people stop going to their doctor's appointments. The intake staff is busy with new clients because it's such a demanding field. They just forget to follow up with people, and you lose money on the end of the case because people stop going. You can create a status called client treating that'll send them a text message every month saying, hey, Zach, just wanted to check in, see how your doctor's treatments are going, making sure you're still going. Do you have any updates, any questions about your case? Because that'll do two things. It'll make sure that they're still going. It'll follow up with them. It'll increase your net promoter score because they're getting more contacts. And it will prevent them from calling into your office every month saying, hey, I need an update on my case.
And so the thing that gets me here is we're starting to cross over into beyond what a lot of people I think would consider the realm of CRM, and we're getting into ongoing case.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people stop at that. Oh, I just sent my contact from CRM into ongoing case. But it sounds like if you have a system that integrates well with your law practice management system, then you can have these things working in tandem. The stuff you have to do on your case inside and filings, things like that, law practice management system. Contacting your client, follow-ups, things like that, CRM.
Exactly. And people, a lot of attorneys have that. I actually just did a webinar on this. A lot of attorneys have that that image in mind where they're thinking about CRMs. They're going, oh, this is just for my leads. It's not. You paid for those leads. Those leads live in our system. Those are future marketing opportunities. Those are, you can increase your net promoter score while you're doing cases because, you update the status inside of our system. It'll put them in a drip campaign.
Right.
The whole system is designed to capitalize on every lead you have. And a lot of people, they just target new leads. They don't think that I have this huge list of people. Let me ask for referrals. You could do that in our system.
Right.
You can even use, sorry, go ahead.
And that would be contacting current ongoing clients even.
Exactly.
While that's happening, we're not just siloing them in CRM or law practice management system. And then more importantly, after they get out of that LPMS, where do they go? Back into the CRM at the very least, but they never left it. That's the key.
And that is the key. And it's what's nice about it too. Let's say you close the case in your practice management software. The most important thing that now you want to do is I need Google reviews because that's what everybody looks at. You could go back in our system, update their status to closed case. It can shoot out an automated message saying, hey, Zach, thank you so much for choosing our firm. We're happy to work hard for you. And it can actually send them a questionnaire that we have in the intake. And it can say, how is your service? Please rate your service 1 to 5. Now, here's where an interesting part of our conditional logic comes in. If they answer between 3 to 5 on that little 1 question survey, it'll send them a link to go to Google. 4 to 5. If they answer 1 to 3, it'll send them an internal questionnaire saying like, hey, please, tell us more about your experience. This way, because those people just want to feel heard, but you want to keep those angry comments off Google and internal.
Right.
And this can help you do that.
Well, because people want to be heard. They want to feel like you've paid attention to them. And that's what you're doing there at the very least. So yeah, it'll at the very least limit the amount of nasty, because if you practice law long enough, you're going to get some bad comments. You're going to get bad reviews just because people are people.
Exactly. And this will help you keep those bad reviews internal and stop them from getting to Google. You kind of want to stop it in the tracks.
Well, and maybe you can change the practices. Maybe it was something you didn't know was happening. And so you can actually, you cycle that back through, and now you're getting better information about your clients and about how you're treating your clients.
Which you bring up a very good point. You can actually run a report on any field inside of our system. We have a custom report builder. So we have clients that run reports based on their answers, like please describe your situation. This way they can get a report once a month to their, client success manager, and they can, review everything all at once and see, what was the number 1 complaint.
Right. Well, and that allows you to have KPIs, key performance indicators related to your intake that are separate from your law practice management system. So, reporting is extremely helpful, and not a lot of CRMs have solid reporting.
And that's really where we come into play, which we're going to touch on in a little bit, because we have every report under the sun. We spend a lot of time developing that. So without further conversation on this piece, let's jump into the intake side of things. So I wanted to show you what a conditional based intake looks like. So this is our Social Security wizard. This is something that one of our current associates, Brooke Aaron, had actually built out herself. She's amazing when it comes to this kind of stuff. She spent hours working on this thing, like weeks, and it's really interesting. So this looks very basic right now. So you come in here and you say, okay, put in everything here. So I see right off the bat that your name is backwards. So I would just move this around. Actually, I'm going to change Steve to Zach. Pull your caller ID. So now that'll do too. If I refresh the screen, you're going to see here that no double data entry point. It just updated your name.
Great. Yeah.
So now if I come in where it says, are you currently working? If I click on yes, it's going to show me the next part in the process. If I click on no, it's going to show me the next part in that process. So what that does is, especially in the intake field, you guys have a lot of firms out there have high churn rate when it comes to intake staff members.
Yes.
And it takes a while to train those people to up to speed on SOLs, on turn downs, on what's considered, passing. We can make it simple.
Mm-hmm.
We can make it to where you can have somebody just jump into the system, hop on a phone, start going, because this will guide them through everything they need to do.
Right.
It's going to take you through everything. So you can see here that I got to this part where unfortunately did not qualify.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is one side of it. We also have the initial eligibility too, once they get to it. What I really like about this, if I go to the medical eligibility part of this, let's say I'm 25 years old, I go here. We have a system for SSD. We have a couple others built out like this where it says qualifying conditions, 1 gold or 2 silver. We've built it out to where anybody can qualify somebody for SSD because they could just come in here and they go, okay, 54 and younger, I need 1 gold or 2 silver. What are your symptoms? Boom, they pass or they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes life very simple. And this is something, like I said before, I have clients that are SSE that send this out to their clients so they can fill it out on their own.
Right. You could do that, but you can also make it easier, like you're saying, for your internal staff to be able to run through something that you, as the attorney or your head paralegal or something like that, has already set up.
Exactly. And I've never met a paralegal that enjoys doing intakes. So every time, every time I get to help people grow and hire an intake staff, the paralegals all send me. I've always gotten emails from paralegals saying, "We love you so much. Thank you for helping us grow. We got an intake staff, and now I can focus on what I love."
Right. But they were able to put that knowledge that they have in their brain into a system and into a guided system.
Exactly. And we have certain people where what they'll do is they'll have the paralegal look over the intake staff.
Mm-hmm.
And what it'll do is if they get to a certain spot, because sometimes it's not all cut and dry like this is.
Right.
There's something where, there might be a concern. You can trigger it to send an email with a copy of the intake to the paralegal so they can review. And from that email, they can reject or approve it.
Okay.
So, the paralegal can have direct management of the staff too.
Mm-hmm.
So once this is all said and done, we seamlessly segue into the e-sign. Let's say they pass, hooray, we want to sign them up as soon as possible. We can jump over to this e-sign button and where we can fill out, you can send them a 1696 form. We can do complex e-signs and you can map everything from that intake form the client filled out to the e-sign document. We're going to do a sample retainer. I'm going to click on send. We would already have the email in here from the intake. We're just going to type this in and I'm going to actually send the e-sign to your cell phone. See, it's sent out right away.
And now, just got it.
Perfect. The most important part of this process is when I refresh the page, we're going to see that status automatically change. See how it just changed to sent e-sign?
Yep.
Now that's important because as much as we would love to sign everybody up the second we send them a retainer, there's case types where, like, let's take criminal, for example, or employment where they have to pay a fee. They're not going to sign that right away.
Right.
So our system can set up, you could custom tailor drip campaigns to follow up with these clients.
Right.
So you could say, you could set it to where a day after you send it, hey, Zach, I noticed you still haven't sent back the retainer agreement. Did you have any questions on it? How can we help you move forward?
Mm-hmm.
So your intake staff doesn't have to do the follow-up anymore. Our system can take over. Your intake staff can follow up on, those new leads coming in with a higher priority. So you're converting clients on both ends now. So Zach, do me a favor if you can on your phone. Go ahead and fill that e-sign out. I want to show people what happens when a client signs that document.
Okay. We're loading.
And you can see how easy the interface is. HelloSign makes a great product when it comes to mobile. There's a big blue get started button up in the top right-hand side.
Mm-hmm. And then we got click to sign.
And the other thing we can do too with this is a lot of courts out there that don't like type in signatures. You can also see there that you have to sign with a finger signature. We can require that on people's sites.
All right, so we're good on that. And
so what that's going to do when you sign it, we have a full document management system built into our software.
Okay.
So you can see here the different folder structures. This is all custom tailored to the firm. Every firm out there has their own folder structure they're currently using, especially if
Right.
they're based in Excel right now. They're doing most of their management out there. They have their own templates. You
Mm-hmm.
can customize each case type to have its own documents build. So they can come in here, create whatever folders they would like.
Mm-hmm.
That one you just submitted, you can see here, if I go to sign contracts, it's already here.
There we are.
So it automatically goes right in there. I can see that his name is mapped. If I scroll down, I can see that he's got a signature in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see an IP history sheet of everybody that's touched it in case the court asks for that.
Yep.
Now, the other thing too is what that's going to do. You see how it's sent to e-sign. If I refresh this page again, that's going to automatically change to signed e-sign. That's where the automation takes over. It'll shoot you a welcome email saying, hey, thank you for signing on. Welcome to the firm. Here are next steps. And then you take it on from there. This is where you send it to your case management system. You're done inside of the CRM and you're ready to shoot it over. This little button where it says export a case and make a case, those buttons will change based on who we're integrating with, where it'll say send to Conditional Lex, send to TimeSolve, and it'll send over, every integration is different. Some integrations, it'll send over everything, including documents. Some integrations, it'll send over contact information. So if you do sign up at the demo for us, mention the exact case practice management system you have, we'll let you know a little bit more in depth about that integration solution and what it does. So that's what happens here. So after this is done, there's a few more things I want to touch on in the case. Mainly notes. Notes are important. We have a full notes section. A lot of attorneys like that you can record voice memos. A lot of attorneys don't like to type. So you can put in here, you can just record a voice memo note. This way you don't have to type it out. You can also use this as an internal messaging system. So these different categories are all customizable. You can tag other users here.
Okay.
Please see this note. And that'll send them a notification they've just been tagged on this case. And you can pin important ones to the top, everything like that. With the text messaging, you can send and receive text manually, not just automatically.
Right.
So if you want to send one-off text, you can. And the most important part of this is they can text you photos and documents. So we have that capability because a lot of firms out there, no matter what the case type is these days, people are texting documents because if they email photos, they email it by inserting the image into the email itself, and it comes through just terribly. It doesn't actually send over quickly. So a lot of attorneys hate that, and they have to go through and they have to either guide them through sending it as an attachment, which is a pain, or they have to have them resend it or send it to their cell phones and upload it. This way they just text it and it'll automatically go into photos.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything for that. Automatically uploads. Same thing with your email. We integrate with your email and calendar systems. All your email and calendars out there will integrate with. Those will automatically, any attachments they send go straight to the email attachments folder.
Okay.
And then the last thing I want to touch on for individual cases is the audit log. This will show you a complete history on this case from start to finish. When was this done? Who did it? And what was done? So you have the complete history log on any changes made to this case. So in case a client comes back at you, a year later, 2 years later, and says, you never told me you sent a rejection letter. I never got rejected. I'm suing you for malpractice. You can come back in here and show proof of what was done with that client. You have a complete history.
Right.
So that is the complete case side of things. So what I want to touch on now is a little bit more of the reporting side, because that's extremely important.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest reports we have that a lot of people like are our dashboard reports.
Okay.
So this is our dashboard reports. This is an interactive report that updates live in the system. So you can come here and you can customize your date ranges. You can see a lot of important information that you need to see right off the bat. I can see how many e-signs I have in the world, how many total leads I have in this date frame, how many people signed up. I can even track my marketing spend to get an ROI.
Okay.
You can also see what case types are signing up the most and what sources are giving you the most leads. So there's a lot you could track here. We also give you a solution. I didn't really touch on this earlier, but we give you a solution to track your referrals. If you're sending out referrals to different attorneys, we offer a one-click solution that'll send them an email with everything they'll need, and it'll have an approve or deny button in the email, so it'll update you on if they accepted the case.
Okay. And so yeah, this is the outbound referrals from your firm to somebody else.
Exactly. And you can track all that in our system. So who you sent the referrals to. This way, year or 2 years down the road, you can get paid. You can follow up with them saying, hey, I sent
Right.
you a referral.
Right. Because these don't happen immediately. Absolutely.
No. And it's a lot of times attorneys will forget they sent anything to them. Like, oh, wait a minute. I think I sent you something about a year ago. How's that go? So this gives you a better system to keep track of that. So this is just one report. The other reports that I want to touch on, if we go to the report section, we've got a ton of reports here. I don't want to go over every one of these. It'll take a little bit too long, but I want to dive into my favorites. My three favorites are the lead conversion dashboard, the marketing sources ROI report, and the customer report builder. Lead conversion dashboard, if I'm consulting for somebody and I want to, if I'm their account manager and I say, hey, listen, let's take a look at how your performance is going. This is your current month. We can go in, I can see how many leads you've got, how many you've converted, how many e-signs you sent out, how many you've signed. I can see everything. I can see your entire pipeline for this month. Now I can boil this down too. If I want to track my intake reps, individual KPIs and see what they're converting at, I can sort this by rep. If I want to track my sources, I want to see, what, Google is giving me. I want to see how many I'm converting. I can track specifically Google. What a lot of our clients like about this is they can schedule this report to deliver to you automatically. And what they use this for actually is kind of interesting. They use this to send to their marketing firms. Because what'll happen is the marketing firms you're paying to send you leads, they might send you 400 leads and they're thinking, oh man, we're doing an amazing job for you. This is great. Our campaign is really taking off. But in your CRM, you're only converting 10%. You're not converting 20% where you want to be. You're not your target KPI. They need to know that information.
Right.
Because they need to adjust their keywords. They need to adjust their content. There's something that is attracting the wrong people to go to call your firm. Right. And that's costing you money because you're paying for those leads. So you can schedule this report, filter it by the leads they're sending you specifically, because you might have a few marketing firms working for you. And you can schedule this report to go to them automatically once a week and show them not only how many leads they're sending, but how many leads you converted into a client.
Right. Okay.
So that allows them to kind of adjust the keywords and really pinpoint, because that's going to make your marketing solid and help you get those better targeted leads.
Right. Because, Rome wasn't built in a day. We iterate into better and better intake.
Exactly. And marketing is just like that too. Marketing will never be amazing off the bat. You might get lucky, and it might be, but it's very unlikely. It's a time thing. So you need to keep playing with the different keywords. What has the best return?
Right. Well, even if you're getting, let's say that you're getting 400 leads, you're converting 10% of that, and then each one of those is a high value case, you're making money, but you're still wasting money.
Exactly. And you really need to track that.
So yeah, you're doing fine, but you'll never find that you're wasting money without being able to do reports like that, because you're making money. You're everything's hunky-dory for the most part, but you could be making more.
You could be making a lot more. And that is the difference with the reporting between somebody that is just skating by and maintaining their worth versus they're growing rapidly. They're putting fire under them, and they're breaking through their glass ceiling, because every firm, if you just open, I've trained a lot of sales consultants, so I'm going to use a sales term. If people just walk in the door, the worst sales consultant in the world can close, a few of them.
Right.
And they'll stay at that income level. But the few that you have, they're going to reach that president's club. They're going to reach that director's club level. Those are the people that are making the most in every single lead. They're not happy with what they're closing now. They're wondering, what do I have to do to close more? And this reporting can show you that. So this is the other report. This is the marketing ROI report. Here you can add your marketing expenses for the month. So you can trigger exactly what marketing expenses you are using. Then you can come down here. You could pair that to exactly what your campaigns are giving you, how many you've got, what your cost per client is, what your cost per lead is, what your conversion percentage. You can even have an estimated case value in our system. It'll actually give you the ROI that you need to see, because this number is extremely important. So a lot of marketing directors, they use this report every month to see, what is my ROI?
Right.
Am I putting too much money towards Google pay-per-click? Should I put more money into social media?
Right.
This report equips and empowers you with that knowledge to make that decision. And then with the other report, there's sometimes every attorney I've ever met has that report that they want customized to exactly what they want to see.
Right.
Every attorney has something different that they need to see.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of reports, but for the reports we don't have, we allow you to go into our system using a very easy touch, move it over to the side.
Mm-hmm.
You can build your own reports. You can even take that information that you gathered during that intake,
Mm-hmm.
and you can build that report. Now, this is extremely important for a lot of things too, because this can allow you to have free marketing. If you have Social Security disability,
mm-hmm.
and you want to look at you're going to get into veterans, you're going to get into VA. It's a common segue. You can pull a report and find everybody that said, were you a veteran, yes or no? And then update their status to trigger them with marketing campaigns to
Mm-hmm.
target them for your new case type. You say, hey, Zach, thank you so much for doing your SSD case with us. We just started doing VA and we know that you are a veteran. We want to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that inside of our system. You don't have to pay for branding leads.
Right.
So that's what this custom report kind of gives you that power to do. It gives you the power to see what you want to see when you want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that's pretty much it on the reporting. The only other, really important screen is the inbox. This is where all of your leads live.
Okay.
This is also extremely customizable. These different columns up here, everybody wants to see different columns. Every firm has different data they work off of.
Mm-hmm.
You can customize your own layouts. Each individual user can.
Okay.
So each user can, work off of what they want to. This way it works best. You can also really target this down to
Mm-hmm.
where if you want to work on people that are, SSD cases, you want to work on commercial vehicle accidents only, you want to work on new leads versus people that were already sent an e-sign, you can filter this out
Mm-hmm.
and apply those filters to really target, everything that you want to target.
Right. Well, so the attorney who owns the firm can have a 30,000 foot view, and then
Yep.
each individual kind of caseworker or something like that can have their own stuff that just shows them what is of interest or whatnot to them.
Exactly. And then on the other hand too, a lot of firms out there have partner firms where there's multiple firms working under one roof, but they don't want to see each other's leads.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to share leads. They just want to work them separately.
Right.
You can set permissions in our system to limit users' views, we have a lot of call centers that use our product, legal call centers. For this reason, you can set different people working on different campaigns. So, if I want team A only working on commercial vehicle accidents, I want team B doing criminal, I want team C doing employment, I can set that up in my system, and you can have separate workflows, separate case types, separate reporting, everything separate under the same site.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what I've got. The only other thing that, let me pull this up real quick, because this is something that is important that sets us apart, is the dialer.
Mm-hmm.
For an intake staff, a lot of us started working remotely during the pandemic. And even today, a lot of people stopped going back into the office, because if we could save money on an office, who wants to spend, $3,000 a month on overhead?
Right.
So, but the main hardship there was finding a phone system that you could track where your intake staff is working.
Mm-hmm.
And where the intake staff is calling back as many times as you need them to call back. Our dialer is equipped to where you see like this outbound amount right here. Mm-hmm. There's 2 calls in the outbound section. If I go to available, what that's going to do is it automatically queues up that outbound call to where with automation, it tells me how many times I should call people and when I should call them. So all I have to do is hit accept. It's going to open up that case and start calling that client. Gotcha. And all these calls are recorded. All these calls are tracked. They have to select the disposition. If they hung up, made the call, left a voicemail. Mm-hmm. So all that's done. And when you go available, it goes on to the next one. They can hit recycle. So, and then that can also take incoming intake calls. Mm-hmm. So if you use our call tracking or call rails call tracking, we could set it to where any intake inbound calls you can answer directly through the dialer. then you can run reporting on that too. You can see your agent's metrics, what their talk time is, the wrap up time, how many calls they've made, and all the calls can be recorded too. So there's a lot of attorneys out there that started using that feature that aren't just call centers, because a lot of people were working remote and they wanted to be able to monitor their employees.
Right. Because a lot of firms aren't necessarily going to have just pending call after pending call after pending call, but it does give everybody a centralized location. You don't have to use your assistant's cell phone in order to have them make outbound calls or something like that. So I can see where this would be a help for firms well beyond PI or mass torch, something like that.
Exactly, and that's where we are. We're not, we have a lot of features that tailor to mass tort and they tailor to PI, but we've got a lot of features that help everybody out in the business. And it's so any case type out there, it's important to take advantage of your intake process, and we can custom tailor the software to work for you.
Sounds good. Well, Matthew, thank you very much for showing me around Law Ruler. This was extremely helpful, and I know that the people viewing the video will feel the same way. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.